Okay, everybody. Well, as usual, plans changed. I was all set up here to start welding motor mounts for this frame. So, anyway, I got all that stuff there. But then my buddy showed up with this '03 Zuma that has a really bad exhaust leak.
On further inspection, don't know if you'll be able to see this. I can't even see it in the camera. At any rate, the header is just not bolted on there. One bolt missing, the other one just hanging there. So I'm sure that it's going to need a new gasket. I'm hoping that that's all it takes is another bolt and a gasket. Tighten her up, and hopefully she'll be ready to rip. Let's find out.
All right. Well, let's start by removing the exhaust. These are 13 millimeter, or at least a 13 millimeter fits, and so that's what I'm using. I'll be back. All right, pipes off. Man, look how dirty that is. The gasket is still there, and I don't know, looks like maybe I can reuse it, but I'm gonna see if I have another gasket. Just as I suspected, there was only one bolt holding it in. So let me go see if I got another gasket. Well, y'all, I was able to find another gasket. I'm thinking that this is gonna be my best option. When I look at the exhaust port on the head, when I look at the exhaust port, it's like half obstructed. And I'm not super familiar with two strokes, but I've seen that before. Somebody else noticed it or pointed it out to me, showed me theirs. But then I also noticed that this exhaust has a flange that sticks out right there, and it doesn't stick into anything. And this gasket that was on it sits about flush with it. And so this one seems like it's going to be a better option. I'm just running with what I have. So, but I think that is going to work better. If not, let's see. Does a QMB donut even fit? This is an old flattened used one. No, the QMB donuts are a little bit smaller. So my only option is to either attempt to reuse this one or throw this one on there. I think I'm going to throw this one on there. Now I need to just find another one of these bolts. We'll bolt it on and see what happens. Well, there's a reason that I save everything. I'm going to rummage through this little bin of bolts and see what I can find. That looks promising, except the threads look a little bad on the end. But it is pretty close. Let's find one that's not all goobered up. Well, I found one. It's a little bit shorter. Not much though when you see where it's gonna go. So I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna slap that on there and we'll see what happens. Exhaust leak was horrible before, as you can imagine, with one bolt missing and the other one barely hand tight. So this is gonna have to make a huge difference. I'll check in with you after I get it on there. All right, y'all. Customer, Motor Mike, my buddy, states hard to start, loss of power, sounds like an exhaust leak. And he bought this a week or two ago for $700, and sure enough, it had a bad exhaust leak. So I've got it all buttoned up, and I'm gonna try to fire it up. I don't know if I can do that while I'm holding the phone though, Give me just a moment. See, the issue is it does not have a kickstand. So I'll sit down on it. Let's see. Engine start. Key on. Brake in. He did mention something about he thinks that the enricher is bad. I don't know if it even has an enricher, but that's what he told me. He said sometimes you gotta goose it a little bit to get it to start so it's warm. So that may be another issue we have to look at. Let's try to goose it. There we go. Definitely no exhaust leak anymore. And once it's started, it idles. We took care of that exhaust leak. I'm a good guy, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit for him. But before that, take her for a ride and see what she can do. All right, y'all. I took her for a ride, and she runs good. Well, it runs good and it sounds good, but it barely cracks 35, and that just can't be right. Kind of wondering if there still is a slight exhaust leak, but I can't tell if that noise is coming from the CVT, which I think it is, but 35 just doesn't seem right. So I'm gonna dig into this a little bit more. I wish it had a kickstand. So 35, maybe 40 downhill. I'm gonna go inside and do a little reading. Clearly, if you ported the exhaust, or if you ported the exhaust port, it would have more flow. So I'm sure that's a restriction, because it's like an oval shape. It's only half open on the engine. But I'm gonna go do some research and see if there's any quick and easy, CVT restriction or anything like that I can do to make this thing a little bit quicker for him. And I wiped the pipe off a little bit. It looks better. But let me check on that CVT stuff, and I'll get back to you guys. There was something else, and I can't remember what I was going to say. So, oh yeah, 35, maybe 40 downhill so far. I didn't do a big downhill, but downhill doesn't really count. Does 35 seem realistic for stock on an 03 Zuma with the Vance pipe? Let me know in the comments. All right, so after fixing the exhaust leak and getting it to run good, I started going over everything and found this. This is not good. It barely stays on there. So we're gonna go ahead and put a new cap on there and try to get that fixed. All right, well, I went through my old parts piles, and thankfully I've got tons of old shit. I found this one, and man, that's nice. That's on there. So after fixing the exhaust, taking care of that plug deal, just kind of going over everything, she's doing about 38 to 40 on flat. Not bad. I cleaned that exhaust up. It looks good. So yeah, time to oh, and I put in a tail light because the tail light was burnt out. The only thing that is non-functional is this turn signal, so he can deal with that. Time to bring it back to him, and least I forget, that's $50.
Have a good one, guys.